Holla! If you hear me, my freaks and geeks. TDKV here coming at you with another awesome video. And today, what we're doing is a little bit of a ranking video. Ranking a list of wrestlers from S to D. So, let's get right into it. Start off with Hot Rod Roddy Piper. S tier. Probably one of the greatest wrestlers, or he is one of the greatest wrestlers to never win a world title. He didn't need one though. You know, the title was supposed to elevate somebody, but Piper never really needed elevation. He was always at the top. Characters is always great. Could cut great promos and just, he didn't have the best in-ring skills, but he didn't need the best in-ring skills. Everybody loved him. You loved him, and it just chef's kiss. R.I.P. to Piper, man. Next up is Seth freaking Rollins. Honestly, I'm going to put him in B tier. He's very good in ring. Mic skills are like, but I just never really liked any of his gimmicks. Like the fact he has to call himself Seth freaking Rollins, like, I don't know. Not really all that big of a fan of his, but there's been worse. He does have one of the greatest, he probably has actually the greatest cash-in of all time for Money in the Bank. So, give credit where credit's due. So, Seth Rollins, B tier just for, just for that reason alone. Jon Moxley or Dean Ambrose. Was never really into his character. Was never really a big fan of his, During the Shield era, it's like the only time I really liked Dean Ambrose, and that was only like the littlest bit. But for the most part, I don't know. I mean, he's not terrible, but just he goes in C. And I'm not really a big AEW fan. I don't really watch it all that much, so I can't really give an opinion one way or another on what I think of his AEW run. But yeah. Jeff Hardy? I'll put Jeff Hardy towards the top of B. Tag team run, I mean, obviously with the Hardy Boys, legendary. His singles run in WWE, I mean, he had a decent run. I mean, he was actually champion there for a second. My favorite run of his, though, is in TNA. Even, I'm talking about, the beginning of the TNA run. From, 2003 or 2004, 2005. Some of those matches were great. One of my favorites is the 6 Sides of Steel match between him and Abyss. But, yeah. I think that the TNA run for Jeff Hardy is my favorite run of his, personally. That's just me, though. And then next up is Vader. If we're ranking his WWE run, it's probably actually a D. But honestly, he deserves to go an A for his run in WCW. One of the greatest big men champions of all time. I personally feel like he put the company on his back whenever, Flair left in the early 90s. And, it was him and Sting. That whole rival between him and Sting was just awesome. So I think he goes an A. I think he's up there as one of the best big men of all time. He could go in the ring. The gimmick was just awesome. It's time. It's Vader time. So I'm a big fan of Vader. He goes an A for me. Rob Van Dam, S tier. Best thing that ever came out of ECW. He deserved to be champion well before he was ever champion. But in-ring skills are phenomenal. I mean, his gimmick, he didn't really have he's just being his cool stoner-esque self, which I loved every bit of. He was good on the mic. And honestly, I feel like he should be a multiple-time world champion, and I don't know. I feel like at his peak, he was being underutilized. I'm just glad that he finally did get one title run. It was unfortunately cut short due to drug problems, but it'd be like that. but I love RVD. I can't say enough good things about him. So yeah, he deserves an S tier. And then DDP, also another S tier person. He was a great manager, and then he found a second wind in the business by becoming an actual wrestler. And not many people, if at all, have ever been able to do that. And just awesome, dude. From everything, dude. He was great in the ring. Again, a great gimmick. Was good mic skills. And, you know, he was the embodiment of, you know, WCW. You know, like, he's one of those few people that WCW, like, he's like a homegrown boy, if you will. He wasn't like a guy that jumped over from WWE. And I don't know, DDP's always been one of my favorites, and that's a little bit more of a biased ranking probably, but I just feel like he deserves to be in the S tier just because he's one of those people that carried WCW on his back, even in the worst of times. And yeah, DDP deserves S tier in my book. And then this is going to be a controversial one. Mr. Randy Orton. I'm going to put him in B. I'm sure most of you would put him in S. And, you know, I can understand that, but I never really liked Randy Orton. Never got behind his character. And also, I think that the Diamond Cutter is way better than the RKO. Hot take. Let me know in the comments what you think of that. But I think that Randy Orton is just, I don't want to say overrated. I don't know. I feel like the longevity is a little bit of why people are a little bit like him a lot. I mean, he's been around for so long. But yeah, no, I never really was behind his character. So I'll give him Randy Orton B. And here's probably going to be a very hot take for old school wrestling fans. I'm sorry, I hated Ultimate Warrior. Always have, always will. Oh, the Ultimate Warrior. And I don't know, dude. I just never got behind anything that ever was involved with Ultimate Warrior. Feel like he was a worse version of Goldberg, which, and I'm gonna, my rankings, some people are gonna be like, what in the hell? But yeah, no, Ultimate Warrior, sorry. May him rest in soul though. Big Show. I'll put him in B, but he's going to be at the bottom of B. Like in here, I'll give Randy Orton at least a little bit of respect and put him at the beginning of B. But Big Show should have been way better. He should have had way better of a career than he did. I just felt like he never really got his footing, never really understood what he was supposed to be, and just like how he was supposed to go about his characters or anything like that. I mean, I feel like half of that reason is because of writing and management, because they had him going from heel to, you know, face, heel to face. Oh, another heel turn. Oh, just again, just his career was like a whole big mess, and a big part of it wasn't his fault, but I also feel like a big part of it was his fault. I liked his run in WCW a little bit better, but that's just me though. Bret Hart, S tier, best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. It's kind of really all I need to say about that. Dude, one of the best in-ring technicians of all time. Wasn't the best on the mic, but his in-ring work was so good that, like, you know, that's basically what his gimmick was. So, Bret Hart's an S. We actually have a couple S's coming up. Brock Lesnar. There's only maybe one or two more big men that I would put ahead of him. But Brock Lesnar is just... he's been over the entire time that he has been in the business. He's one of those legit people that you know would whoop your ass if it came down to it. He's a former UFC champion, and it just... Again, like, probably one of the scariest people that you would ever have to punch you, if you know what I mean. Like, for all the people in the world that if Brock Lesnar wanted to I had something against me and he was looking after me, I'd be hiding. That's all I'm going to say. Undertaker, greatest gimmick of all time. Some of the greatest matches of all time. Like, people try saying that his in-ring skill wasn't that great. He was a very, very good wrestler for his size. Undertaker's up there with some of the best. And he has the greatest gimmick of all time. Just for the simple fact that, again, even to this day, we all know his name is Mark Calloway. He's still the Undertaker. He took kayfabe to the next level. It wasn't until the very moment that he actually fully retired that he decided that he wasn't, okay, I'm finally going to talk about the business and some of the stuff that goes on. He never did any of that beforehand. He didn't really do any meet and greets. He made you believe that he was actually a dead man from Death Valley. And again, you got to have respect for that. He was just so great at what he did, and enough good can't be said about him. Now for The Rock. And this one might be a little bit controversial. I'm going to put him in A. Why? Because he only wrestled for such a short amount of time. But that's really like my biggest thing. I mean, what was it from 1997 to 2002, 2003? I mean, probably one of the best people on the mic. Wrestling, his in-ring skills were, more to be desired. But I mean, again, in the business, you really don't need to be the best in-ring technician to do this. But, I personally don't think that he deserves to be up here with these guys. I mean, somebody's going to be looking at me being like, well, you have DDP up there. Yeah. I don't know. Again, this is my list. Let me know in the comments what you think about me putting Rock only in A. But like I said, I think he only deserves to be up there. Eddie Guerrero, he's an S. Probably the most underrated wrestler for so long. Great on the mic, great in the ring. Latino heat, baby, dude. And his life got taken so short. And it's just a shame. And just imagine if he could have worked with a lot of the guys today. Or even if he could have been around to maybe train a lot of the people that came up throughout the years. And to even him being a backstage presence, I felt like he might have even made an even more impact on the business than he did. But I don't think enough good gets talked about him. So, no, he is S tier for me. And then Goldberg. So again, you'll see that I rank WCW guys pretty high. I grew up watching WCW, loved WCW. Always have, always will. Goldberg's A for me. If you had to be there in that time period, seeing the streak go, and he embodied intensity, and he just, I don't know, just something about being a part of that just was awesome. But again, I loved Goldberg. His WCW run will always be legendary. I understand that, his last run in WWE wasn't necessarily left a good standing on his career, but his early days in WCW deserve the recognition. And people complain, oh, he was still green, he didn't deserve that run. Well, you know what, dude? He had so much intensity. He just looked the part so well. And again, he's one of those only few people that you believed all he needed to do was do 2 finishing moves, and that was it. And I'm sorry, but he deserves to be up there in A. S tier, Kurt Angle, one of the GOATs of all time. Very underrated wrestler, I feel like, in just the grand scheme of things. The dude could go in the ring. I mean, he was a very good heel. Him being a good guy wasn't necessarily the best, but what I love most about him is that he was very funny. He was a good comedic act whenever he needed to be and whenever called for it, and enough can't be good said about him. He just, I feel like he was so underappreciated for a good time. And I mean, now that I'm like saying that, looking back on it, like, I mean, I guess he did have like a good bit of title runs and everything, but like, whenever people talk about GOATs, I don't think Kurt Angle gets brought up enough. Because not only from his run in WWE, but like his run in TNA, go back and watch that TNA stuff. Go back and watch him versus Samoa Joe. Almost any one of those matches. Dude was a wrestling machine, truly. And I loved it. My favorite match of his personally, him versus Undertaker, No Way Out 2006. That match made me cry because I was an Undertaker fan. That's all I'm going to say. And now, if somebody had to ask me who I think is the most complete wrestler of all time, in terms of like in-ring ability and in-ring gimmick, mic skills, just everything, Macho Man embodied it. He could go with anybody in the ring. He could walk to talk with anybody on the mic. He could do everything there was to do in the wrestling business. Dude was truly a savage, and dude was truly macho. Ooh, yeah! But Macho Man, to me, again, it doesn't get better than him. He had it all. It's just, again, another one that's taken from us way too soon. May he rest in peace. But hey, dude's a legend. And I mean, to think that like he started out a baseball player, he played for the St. Louis Cardinals, got hurt, and then just was like, maybe I'll give this wrestling a little bit of a try. Yeah. Look at him now, dude. That's all I could say. Oh, dude, they just... Couple S tiers here. We're just going to throw all these guys in S tier real quick, and I'll talk about them one by one. Hulk Hogan, he put wrestling on the map. He made it bigger than it ever was. And I mean, that alone puts him up there. I mean, you could say what you will about his backstage politics and like this, that, and the third. Because I mean, I don't say I hate the dude, but like anytime I see anything involving Hulk Hogan, I'm just like, I kind of want to turn it off. But between that and his heel turn with NWO, two of them probably the most pivotal things in wrestling history. So, Hogan deserves his flowers for that. Triple H, he's the game, one of the best. I mean, he was the cerebral. I mean, they call it the Reign of Terror or whatever. In the early 2000s, whenever he just got given the title and then never seemed like he ever lost it. That definitely sucked. But again, the dude was just so relevant for so long and was so great for so long. He could go on the mic, he could go in the ring. The game, King of Kings, awesome. Sting, the embodiment of WCW. Enough can't be said about him. Him along with Vader carried WCW on their backs in the early 90s whenever Flair left. Dude's a legend. He wrestled for so long, and in TNA he was awesome too. Like, he actually wrestled longer in TNA than he did in WCW, which is a little baffling to me. But no, he's been a big reason why wrestling has been a great business for so long, because again, him going to TNA instead of going to WWE brought more eyes on TNA than, I mean, probably if he wasn't there. He deserves his flowers. And then John Cena, I mean, again, dude for the last like 20 plus years actually at this point, he's been a machine. He's kind of like what Hulk Hogan was, except I don't think he's done some backstage politicking, but he's putting guys over. He's done the job. He's in ring. He was not terrible, but again, like, kids for the last 20 years have wanted to be John Cena. My kid wants to be John Cena. I don't see how you can't put him in S tier. He's been the face of the company, I think, the longest than anybody ever was. Like, Hulk Hogan probably was had that title for like so long, but like John Cena was Mr. WWE for like 20 years. Give the man his flowers. Kevin Owens, I'm putting him in D. I never got his character. Never really got him at all. This is really all I could say. I don't think that he's that interesting. He's good in the ring somewhat, but like, hey, you need more than that. CM Punk, my bias wants me to put him in S. I'm going to put him in A. I love CM Punk a lot. His mic work was legendary, but I mean his early work in Ring of Honor was awesome. He is good in the ring. As of late, I mean, like that Drew McIntyre match with Bash in Berlin was actually good. So I don't know. I love CM Punk. I don't have anything against him. I don't hate him, and I think he's just a step down from S tier. Daniel Bryan, I'm going to put in B, borderline A. I might even put him in A, but I mean, I always liked him. I love the Yes Movement. Dude was just, he's really good in the ring. I think his mic work leaves a little bit to be desired. So, I guess, a big way I'm ranking this, I guess I never really said what, my criteria was for ranking, but, if you could do it all, and then if you can't, what, separate, because, I did put Bret Hart in here, because, like I said, his mic skills weren't that good, but his in-ring skills were phenomenal. But, I don't know, I just feel like Daniel Bryan was a little bit more of a boring version than Bret Hart. Roman Reigns, if we're just going to rank just his Tribal Chief run, S tier is one of the best title runs of all time. But his career in general, I'm sticking him in B. Whenever he was cringe, he was super cringe. Honestly, dude, people hated him for so long. And it was for a reason, dude. Nobody liked him. They were just shoving him down our throats. Nobody wanted it. His in-ring skills leave a lot to be desired. Very limited. I don't, maybe this will change maybe in the future, but for now, he deserves to be there. Shinsuke Nakamura, sadly, it's D. He got that Royal Rumble win, and then he's just been Mr. Irrelevant ever since. They've just kind of wasted his career, and kind of is what it is. Batista, he goes in A. It's kind of hard to determine how to rearrange everything, but Batista was a good gimmick. I mean, being a kid growing up with that, that era of Batista, it was just awesome. As a little bit of a bias, maybe B, but I'm gonna put him in A just because again, he was kind of the face with John Cena. Just he kind of left a little bit earlier, and again, he wasn't really that as much over as Cena was. So Batista goes in A for me. Edge, S. Dude's awesome. Dude's one of the greatest, probably the greatest returns of all time. Edge is just a legend. Ooh. Hopefully I can edit that out. But he's probably the greatest heel of all time, or he's at least in the top 5. He's the first ever winner of the Money in the Bank ladder match. Dude's just a legend. And, he started off literally grinding it out in the late 90s, and then he started out with the Brood. And he just worked his way up the ladder. He's the very definition of the word just working and just the grind, trust the process. So, work ethic, sorry, but love Edge. Miz, I'm going to put him in C. I never really liked him. Honestly, the only thing I ever liked about Miz was his theme song. Awesome! I came to play! But Yeah, dude's been a mid-carder most of his life, and well-deservingly so. But yeah, Miz goes there. Finn Balor. If there was an F, I'd put him in the F. I just never got anything about him. He's decent in the ring, but like beyond that, like what does he got? Nothing. Sorry, not sorry. Dude's just bunch of overrated dog doo-doo. And I don't understand how the Judgment Day's been a stable for so long. But yeah, I just don't get that at all. Rey Mysterio, greatest luchador of all time. Probably greatest cruiserweight of all time too. Like him and Eddie are like in that like category, but like just dude's a legend. Or if you think of a mass wrestler, it's almost you honestly automatically think of Rey Mysterio. So yeah, Ray deserves to go up in S. Son of a plumber. I'm putting Dusty in A. He was a bit before my time, but I understand the love for him. And yeah, Dusty deserves to be up there. He's a great wrestling mind as much as he was like a talented in-ring person. Ric Flair, S. 16-time world champion. Enough said. Sami Zayn, D. Get him the hell out of here. Never liked him, never will. Shawn Michaels, he's S tier. I personally never liked him, but give flowers where flowers are due. Dude's one of the best in-ring wrestlers of all time and could walk to walk. So had some, like, you know, his work with DX was great. Just, Shawn Michaels is legendary. Chris Jericho, he's going at the top of A. I mean, the only reason why I'm not giving him S, actually, there's no reason not give him S. I'm changing that. I'm sorry. He deserves to go up there with to be ranked amongst the best. Just dude's awesome in every aspect of the word. His gimmicks have always been great. His in-ring work's always been great. Whether he's a heel or a good guy, you just love him. And yeah, I'm a Jericho-holic. Kane's going in A. He's one of my favorites of all time, but I mean, the corporate Kane stuff kind of holds him back, I think. Like, I just feel like he was one of those wrestlers that maybe should have retired a couple years sooner than he did. But I loved Kane all the way from his debut to, I mean, like, the mid 2010s even, like, I'd even give, like, Kane, like, he was awesome. But, like, corporate Kane's whenever it started getting real bad. But Kane's been, again, he's legendary. He's borderline, you know, S tier, but yeah. Stone Cold's the most over wrestler in all time in any time period. And it's a shame that he had to retire as soon as he didn't have to. I mean, he kind of like took his ball and went home, but Stone Cold's awesome. He's just epitome of just the GOAT. So, you know, you hear that glass shatter, your fucking hairs on your arms start going up, and it's just, yeah. So yeah, Stone Cold deserves to go there. Christian's going to go in the top of C. He's borderline B for me because I liked his work as Christian Cage in TNA. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. I feel like he's been a kind of a overrated wrestler. AJ Styles, the phenomenal one. Put him in S. I think he is the greatest in-ring wrestler of all time. You could literally put him in a match with a mop bucket and he'd give you a 5-star match. So, dude's just legendary, goated in all the right ways. So, yeah. I hate Jeff Jarrett. My name is Jeff Jarrett, and that pisses me off, Slapnuts. Like, I felt like he is a big part of what held down TNA in their early days. I mean, obviously it's his company, so like, you know, he just put the title on himself, but like, Not only that, but like he's also the epitome of everything wrong with WCW whenever they were dying. You know, he had his buddy Vince Russo, and again, why is he like? I think he's like what, like a 6-time WCW champion, and Sting's only like a 5-time, I think, or something like that. Why is he a more time WCW champion than Sting? Why did he win the WCW title more than DDP or Goldberg or like anybody? Like I never got the appeal with him. I just felt like he was always a daddy's boy, and that's the only reason why he's even in the business in the first place. Jeff Jarrett gets no roses, and in fact, not in a good way either. Andre the Giant, greatest big man of all time. The WrestleMania 3 match that you watch with him and Hogan, you probably are like, oh, he was very clunky and all. You need to watch his very early work. The dude could go. He was literally a draw wherever he went. I mean, he's one of the biggest men to ever walk the earth. And he had a very good mind for the business, very good knack, and just like, you know, like how to go about doing stuff. And dude's a legend, and there's a reason why he still gets talked up to in such high degree, to even still to this day. So, no, give him his roses. Bray Wyatt, he's gonna go an A. Some people are probably going to be like, oh, that's like, you know, he just died recently, so, you know, that's a little biased, but he's another dude that had a very good mind for what was like good in wrestling. I feel like his gimmicks were always good, and I mean, his life did get cut short way too soon, but I just feel like he knew how to work the ring. He wasn't the best in-ring wrestler now, but he knew how to talk on that mic. He just, the psychology behind wrestling too. He got it, I feel like. And not many people could get that. Not many people ever get that in years of being in the business, but I just felt like had a second nature of it. And yeah, no, Bray Wyatt, honestly, dude, he had potential to be in S tier. I feel like one big fumble that the WWE did was Brock Lesnar should not have been the one to beat Undertaker's streak. It should have been Bray Wyatt. Kind of a passing of a torch moment. Let Bray Wyatt become the new dead man, or the new, like, just like that, like, gimmick of wrestling. And I feel like that's one thing that wrestling is like missing these days, is really good gimmicks. Like, whenever overdone, they are bad, but whenever they're good, like, it's something unique that keeps them unique from the rest of just like anything else. And then last but most certainly not least is Big Papa Pump himself, Scott Steiner. One of the greatest tag teams of all time with the Steiner brothers. And then, I mean, dude's a legend. It's one of the most legendary promos with Steiner math. And yeah, no, Scott Steiner, A tier for me. And this about wraps up my list. So, you know, please let me know in the comments. What do you think? Do you think I'm completely nuts? Or do you agree with me? Like I said, comment in the comment section below. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. We're also live every day. Please don't miss it. Until next time, all my freaks and geeks, see ya.